feel that he's bringing himself as the korban. The animals just to remind you that really you should be on the Mizbeach. Hashem is doing with chesed with you, and he's replacing the animal for you. And when they shech the animal and they sprinkle the blood on the Mizbeach, you have to know that chas v'shalom, this could have been done to you, because you feel guilty to Hashem. If you accept upon yourself the responsibility, and you realize that Hashem could have taken you away your life, because if you sin against the king could have you executed. He doesn't have to let you off the hook. It's only Hashem's rachmanis, Hashem's chesed. So Hashem does chesed with you, and he replaces your life with the animal. But you have to tremble when you see the animal being slaughtered. So when Hevel had that feeling, and that's why Hashem accepted his mincha, his offering. As opposed to Cain, he didn't have that humility. Now the Rambam continues. This is yesterday's Rambam, we learned yesterday. Everything that you bring to Hashem who's good, bring it from the best and the nicest. If you're going to build a shul, make sure that it's better and nicer than your own house. If you give food to a hungry person, give him from the best food, from the sweetest that you have at your table. Don't give him the leftovers. Give him the best. That's the chesed that you could perform with another Jew, another person. Kisa arain. If you have to buy someone clothing, give him from the best of your clothing. Don't give him shmatas. Don't give him what's left over. Give him from the best. And hikdish davar, if he makes something holy, he makes something holy for the Beis HaMikdash, give it from the nicest of your property. That everything you have for Hashem should be for the best. So, obviously the Rambam here is putting in a lot of details. He didn't just give one example. He could have said a blanket statement. Whatever you do for Hashem should be for the best. People don't usually don't grasp until you go and a tight choice with a grubben finger. You have to explain to them exactly in detail. A, B, C, Aleph, Beis, Gimel. What's this gemeint? What did you mean? I'll tell you right now. Listen, just listen, I'll tell you. But you have to tell him. 1, 2, 3, 4. He knocks you out. First of all, you build a house for Hashem. Why is that the first example? Because the first thing, really, that a community needs, and every person needs for his well-being, both spiritually and physically, needs to belong to a shul. You need to belong to a Beis Tefillah. Beis HaKnesses, Beis Tefillah. A Yid darf reinkommen in shul. You have to come to a Beis HaKnesses. It's not going to work otherwise. I'll daven at home and I'll have meditation and I'll get closer to Hashem when I'm in my private study. Habibi, come to shul, like my Rabbi used to do. My mashpia, Rabbi Greengrass. He used to stay in shul. And for an hour, answer Baruch Shmoyin, Amen, Yesh Meir Abba Mevarachs, and all the Kriyas HaTorahs. And then he would go home and daven for 2 hours. On a Wednesday, on a Tuesday, not on Shabbos. Shabbos he would daven for 4 hours. You understand? It's a different level. He did both. But we're not going to do that. Us guys, we're not at that level. We don't have patience. We can't concentrate. And we're simple Yidden. Okay. So come to shul. Hashem makes it easy. Come to the Beis HaKnesses, Beis Tefillah. And over here, I call Be'asar Shechinta Sharia. 10 Jews come together. The Shechina, presence of Hashem, is in its full glory. Because we're all together. That's what Hashem says. No one else could do a different configuration or different system. It's not Hashem's system. We have to fit in within Hashem's system. And this is what Hashem says. So he says, you build a Beis Tefillah, make sure it's better than your house. What does that mean? It doesn't tie choice. Exactly. What does it mean? It means only the how much you invested in it. That's also true, of course. No, it means It should be nice both physically and also practically and also spiritually. That you should feel the kedusha, you should feel the emo pacha when you come into a Beit HaKnesses based tefillah. You should really feel that you're going closer to Hashem. However you want to make it work, both physically and spiritually, but that's the ambience that you have to create. So a shul cannot be, disorganized, and it can't be that the people are talking in shul, and it can't be that there's people arguing and all these things. It's be'ema b'yira, but that's the you have to feel the trepidation for Hashem and the love for Hashem. A Jew comes into shul, he should feel, this is my home. I feel welcome over here. I feel this is where I belong. How does that work? The people in the shul have to welcome him. They're not going to welcome him, he's not going to feel welcome. Correct? Come into a shul. You're the first time you're here, and no one looks at you. And the second time, where did I come? I want to feel connected. I want to feel at home. You want to feel at home, you have to make the person feel at home. Welcome them. This is our work. This is an exercise.
I want to say that when the Rabbi gave dollars, the dollars were clean dollars. They were not for crumbs. So I learned from that even when you put the money in the pushback, you don't want to put the money that's old and looking. You want to, the Rabbi always gave good dollars.
Interesting observation. The second example, very good, Uri. When you give food, he says to a hungry person, you should give him from the best, from the nicest, from the sweetest, from the you have from your table. Like the Vort in the Yon Yon, that the Chassidim, the Alter Rebbe said, the shtikel broit was ich hab, the piece of bread that I have is deiner wie meine. It's yours like it's mine. I'm sharing it with you, not that I'm doing you a favor. It's yours and mine together. We're all brothers. Can you imagine if we would really feel that? The Rambam says, from your table, you should give him. You should feel, give him the best. Same thing when it comes to clothing. So, could be that you have a nice jacket. You have a nice, they were chassid. And Rabbi Asher here was named after his grandfather. He was such a chassid, his grandfather. He took off his fur coat in Russia, which was worth, an amazing sum of money at those days, and gave it away to another person who was freezing. Can you imagine doing so that? People did it. But even if you don't go to that extent, you don't go to that extreme. So you might ask, who today needs clothing? Who needs clothing? Who's ordering? Who's naked? You know anyone who needs clothing? I know people need clothing. If you don't know, but I know. So you can trust me. If you want to do this chesed, I can direct you or arrange it for you. There's people that mamish don't have either a pair, they don't have enough money to buy a pair of shoes or a new hat or an old hat. They don't have. They have a limited amount of money. Could be it's a child, it could be it's the father of the child, it could be they don't have. Be surprised. There was someone who came here before before Yom Kippur, I think, and I gave him money to go buy clothing for his children, and he took it, and he's a shliach. How could it be? How could it be? He doesn't have enough money to buy his clothing. If he had enough money, he wouldn't accept it. And I said, it's only going to buy the clothing. And he did it, he accepted it, said, sure, I need it. And he was happy. So there are people who need it. When you give something for Hashem, do it from the best. Maybe you were right. When you give tzedakah, do it with all your fervor, with the most beautiful way. One more thing I want to point out from today's Rambam. The Rambam, we start learning the laws of Maisya Karbonos. Goes through all the laws of the Karbonos Kabbanas HaTzibur, Kabbanas HaYachid, the community Kabbanas, this individual. So the Mefarshim say an interesting thing. When a person brought a korban, the Torah says you cannot bring a korban outside of the Beis HaMikdash. There was a time before the Beis HaMikdash, before the Mishkan, and the Bama, Yachid, it wasn't the normal thing for a long term. It happened, but because they weren't so organized. But once the Beis HaMikdash was built, you're not allowed to anymore, to bring your own korban. You have to come to the Beis HaMikdash. What happens when a Jew brought to the korban the Beis HaMikdash? From the moment he starts planning the trip, he lives 50 miles away, or 100 miles away, or wherever he lives, at Yisrael. And he has to come to the Yerushalayim. And he has to invest money and time to come to bring a korban. Karbonis, whenever. Not only during the Yom Tov for sure. Can you imagine the elevation, the spiritual inspiration the person would have, especially if they came with their children, their wife, friends? It'd be an unbelievable experience. Coming into the Beis HaMikdash and being in that holy environment. So that surely made an impact on the person that when he went back home, he took with him the spiritual high, the inspiration that he got from the Beis HaMikdash. And he brought it back to his hometown, wherever he lived, till the next time. The korban was one part of it. But the whole ambiance, the whole big presence of all the Yidden there, all the Kahanim, all the Leviim, all the Mamodos, the Shechina. A person could not come to the Beis HaMikdash and leave without being impacted. So the Chachamim, with their Ruach HaKodesh, saw that there's going to be a time there's not going to be Beis HaMikdash. So what do? So they established Tefillah. Tefillah is b'makom karbanos. There were times that Jews weren't able to go always to shul. It was dangerous. The Gemara tells us in many places, brought in Shulchan Aruch, that there was a time that the Goyim did not allow the Jews to have the shul inside the walled city. Every city had a wall around it. You had to go outside. Now, you're going to go outside at night. It's dangerous. There's robbers. There's bandits. It's not a simple thing. There's no lights, no police. The police anyway would make it beat you up. Who were the police? Well, how are you going to go? So you have to go with groups, and there's no lights, and there were potholes, and it was very dangerous and surely uncomfortable. Times of the Gemara.
With snakes and scorpions.
Yeah. So just to show you, it was very difficult. It was complicated. That's why it says in Shulchan Aruch that Friday night, Shabbos, that the Chachamim extended the davening to say Vayichulu and the Brachas Mein Sheva and Baruch Hu, so the people who came late should not get stuck in shul by themselves. They should walk back in a group. And that's where it came from. All week long, no, because all week long, very few people would take on this task. Maybe they made a minyan inside, secretly. The Goyim officially didn't let them have a shul. They said, you want a shul, you want to pray? Go outside. We don't need you here. That was one time. And then later on, another history, part of our history, they didn't let us daven. The Russians didn't let us daven, let you have any organized religion. It was a disaster. And in the United States of America, people too busy to come. I'm going to go middle of the week to daven, have a yahrzeit, or something, God forbid, someone's sitting shiva, saying Kaddish. But like this, I should come middle of the week, come to shul. No, I go from Shabbos to Shabbos. Everyone has their level of religiosity. But the way the Chachamim said it, a person, we spoke about this many times, you have to come, like David HaMelech says, Samachti, I'm happy when I come to Hashem's house, Beis Hashem Nelech. It's not chore, it's not chas v'shalom that you have to feel as an obligation. It's a schos, it's not a burden. Yeah, It's a big privilege. So we always have to remember that coming Samachti Ba'imruli Beis Hashem Neilach. David HaMelech says, Rebbeinu Shalom, I'm so happy, I'm besimcha when I come to Hashem's house. And even though we spoke about this again and again and again, what's the point in repeating it again? And something that you enjoy, you don't get tired of speaking about. You don't get tired. You only get tired and bored of something that doesn't have much meaning to you. Right, Ezra? Let's move on to the next subject. But something that's your life, mamash, your life, you don't get tired of it. You enjoy it. I want more life. Torah is my life. Tefillah is our life. Mitzvahs is our life. Kedusha is our life. So it doesn't have to be a chidush, something new. You know, I'm going to come here and the rabbi is going to give me something, a speech or a dvar Torah or a new idea, a concept never heard before. No. The Gemara says the rabbis used to repeat things 100 times and 101 times. You don't get tired of Torah. Torah is life. It's Hashem. Hashem is in life. It's not physical life. It's the Kedusha of Hashem's Torah is our life. The Mela, we come here all the time. Let's say in Chassidus. That one of the things you see, that Tefillah is a repetition all the time. Torah is not a repetition. Torah is you could learn different subjects in Torah. You could learn at one time like Chumash, and then you could learn Rambam, and you could learn Gemara, and Shulchan Aruch, and Medrash, and Zohar. You could jump. Tefillah, you can't do that. Tonight's Tefillah is the same as it was last night. So how do you have the inspiration? Right, Shimshon? It's a good question. The answer is that when you you believe that you're talking to Hashem. And that's the reality. It's not about saying which words you're saying, the same words. Of course, it's totally different. Hashem is giving me life, He's giving me strength, giving us bracha and happiness and kedusha. This is not the same. It seems the same, it looks the same, but it's every moment and every time, it's a whole different level. The Malachim praise Hashem non-stop, again and again and again and again, like it says in Chassidus. That Avraham Avinu and Yitzchak and Yaakov and Moshe Rabbeinu are in Gan Eden for over 3,000 years. What are they doing in Gan Eden for 3,000 years? Tell me what they're doing. They're davening and learning Torah the whole time. They don't go on vacation. So when we are here together, and Baruch Hashem, we learn this Rambam, and we learn about Karbonos, we learn about Tefillah that takes the place of Karbonos. Since we believe in it, we'll be zeicha to see the building of the Beis HaMikdash quickly, speedily, like the Rebbe says. In our days, now, Mashiach now, we'll have the mamish the Beis HaMikdash.